Hey y'all, thanks for stopping by. So, yesterday, the streaming personality Asmongold was trending all over my social media feeds, and usually I just ignore that stuff when it happens now because he's the type of person who likes to bait interactions by saying heinous things that get clipped out of context, and then he'll make a 30-minute video about how Twitter is canceling him because they didn't listen to his whole 7-hour stream. But this time he said something that I think, whether it's in or out of context, should be addressed regarding hateful rhetoric and the way that this sort of language propagates and spreads to impressionable people. He was reviewing footage from the ongoing conflict in the Middle East between Israel and Hamas and decided to make a political statement, which is kind of funny considering at the start of the conflict, he was upset with people who were talking about things that they didn't know about. We can quote his tweet directly if you'd like to read it with me. He said the following: "Weird as fuck to see so many people coming out with statements about the Israel-Palestine conflict as if they need to comment on it. Can we please stop this weird culture around expecting people with no relevant background or education to talk about world events/politics?" You'll notice the date this was posted was October 11th, 2023, so just a little over a year ago. And you'll also notice this gigantic community note that's being proposed on here. That's because just yesterday, Asmongold decided to talk about the cultures of the people living in those areas and how they're inferior to us. This may sound hyperbolic, that I'm trying to throw him under the bus, but we can just watch his stream ourselves. The following clip's just a little over a minute long, but it goes as follows.
If you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. It's not even a question. It's crazy that people don't see it that way. They'd be doing the same thing. And how much did they kill? As many as they can. They're not able to kill as many people as Israel because they don't have as many bombs and as many weapons. But if they did, they'd be doing the same thing. That's it. Just takes enough. That's right. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways. It is that simple. No, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care. I don't support them.
So he said a lot in that little minute and a half clip. But to start off, he did refer to this as a genocide, what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people, which most media companies won't do that. Most news agencies will not refer to this as a genocide. They won't use that sort of language. But right after that, he said that they deserved the genocide that was happening to them because Sharia law, which I will be the first to say that religious governments should not exist. I have no issue with religious people. I'm a semi-religious person myself, but I don't believe that religious governments, that laws based on religious values should exist. I think that that's antithetical to what I would consider a good place to live. Now, he then goes on to say that if the Palestinian people had the sort of weaponry that Israel had, they would be committing the same sort of warfare that is being done to them. And that is Nazi rhetoric. That is a Goebbels speech to say that our enemy would do the same to us that we're doing to them if they had the means and methods. That's genocidal rhetoric. To then continue it to say that, these people are not like us, that they're different from us, and that they come from an inferior culture. You're doing everything but calling them rats or roaches, which I feel like he doesn't want to do that because he has some sort of camaraderie with them since they live in the same house and he used that mouse as an alarm clock for so long. That's why he's not going to refer to people as actual animals. Now, that's not to say he didn't have some defenders with his heinous rhetoric. Most streaming personalities will have folks defend them over anything they say, but I think the most surprising thing that I saw came from Shoe on Head. She hasn't posted on Twitter since February 14th of this year and decided to come out swinging against someone who called Asmongold a Nazi for what he said. In a now deleted tweet, she said the following: He is okay with a whole country being bombed and people dying because their culture isn't as socially progressive as the United States. Nazi. This is basic neoliberal globo homo without cloaking it in the word democracy. LOL. And again, this tweet has been deleted because this is some heinous rhetoric. This is some late 90s, early 2000s Rush Limbaugh celebrating the deaths of AIDS patients, blaming the gays for the hurricanes that are hitting New Orleans when Katrina happened, sort of rhetoric. And this is now coming from people who a lot of you would consider progressives, that you would consider at least maybe center left. And they're talking about globo homo. And they're talking about inferior cultures that need to be bombed and wiped off the planet. I think there's a big difference in saying you want to wipe out the maybe leadership of a country or to change the laws to make it a more progressive environment, but to cut people off completely to suggest that they are less than you because of the circumstances of their birth, you are appropriating Nazi rhetoric for this. This is hate speech at the end of the day, and if Twitch will ban people for saying the word cracker, I don't know how he's going to keep his account after this. Aside from the fact that he makes Twitch a bunch of money, and at the end of the day, all these companies care about is how they can line their pockets. It's not about morals, it's not about people's rights or people's dignity. It's about profiting in any way necessary, even including off of genocide. I don't really know what's going to come of this. I know last night he posted some apology thing, but he didn't say the words "I'm sorry." He said "my bad," which that might sound petty, but a genuine apology I think would go a long way. Actually trying to better yourself and learn a little bit about the language that you're using before you spout hate speech to your impressionable audience probably would go a long way, but frankly, I doubt it. The guy lives in a plague filled ivory tower, and I don't think he's going to change his mind. After the statements about the protesters and how he was cool with people being run over, this is the sort of person who does not care about the world aside from how it affects him getting his tasty treats. So hopefully he loses some sponsors, hopefully he loses some audience, but there's always going to be people supporting vile, nasty content like this, so I guess we just have to do our best to fight back when we can. But until the next time a streaming personality decides to spew hate speech to tens of thousands of people, y'all try to have a good day.